Hey friends, Amanda here at Bare Bones Living, and today I am processing and restocking my pantry. I am starting with processing my black beans that I soaked overnight and then rinsed and went through. I have a half of a teaspoon of salt in the bottom of each of my pint jars, and I'm going to be giving these an inch headspace. I'm trying to fill my pantry as much as possible in this off season in order to help me during my upcoming busy spring season when I do not have time to make meals that are very involved. Or if I come in from a long day outside, I have ready-made meals. I never think ahead to make beans, so I have had these beans for over a year dry on my shelf, and that is not helping me in any way. So I rinsed these off of the water that they were soaking in all night, and I'm going to now top off with hot, clean water to actually preserve them in. And I will then debubble this, and inevitably I will have to take out the excess water that I put in to give it that 1 inch of headspace so that it seals properly. I can only fit 8 pint jars in my Presto canner, so I will process these for 75 minutes at 11 pounds for my elevation after it has vented for the 10 minutes. I actually started canning yesterday with the beans that I grew myself, and I made some chili beans with kidney beans. So I just canned kidney beans with my homemade chili seasoning. And then these are the black beans that I grew as well. So this is what I'm starting with. So these are 2-pound packages of ground beef from the half a cow that we purchased last year in fall. And I'm going to par cook these
and can them up. And our stove is a gas stove, but is the only gas element in our house. And there is no, we don't have a big propane tank. The previous owners did not put one on, and it is an expense that we have not invested in as of yet. So I run my stove off of the 20-gallon grill propane tanks. And I have been doing a lot of canning recently, and I knew we were running low, and we keep a rotation of 3 of the 20-gallon propane tanks. One for our grill, one for our house, and then one as a backup. And one is already empty. And the other 2 are almost empty. So I checked it before I started this project because I knew we were getting low. And it too is almost empty. So I made the decision to try to use up the rest of the propane in that tank by cooking up this ground beef. That way I can take 2 tanks, 2 completely empty tanks, and get my money's worth. So that I can have enough gas, because I'm afraid if I start canning this, I'll run out of propane in the process. So I don't want to start canning it until I run to town and get those propane tanks filled. But this beef was only partially thawed, even though I had it out since yesterday. So I knew it was going to take some time and use up hopefully the rest of that tank. And I wanted to get this job started because I knew that this was going to take a while to cook this ground beef. Now that I have a full propane tank, I'm going to get this all canned up, and I am going to be adding salt to my jars. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt to each of my quart jars. I am using a slotted spoon to make sure that I get as much of the fat and grease out of this meat before I can it, because that will impede the sealing of my jar. I did drain off the majority of the fat, but once I get closer to the bottom, I'm sure I'll come across more. I'm also going to be giving this 1 inch of headspace, and I'm going to be topping it off with homemade canned beef broth instead of just water. And I'm hoping that that just adds to the flavor and to the delicious broth that it is sealed with. I am super happy with getting some more ready to use protein on my shelves and clearing space out of my freezers
so that I can make way for more things come growing season and just having ready-made meals.
So I ended up filling 8 quart jars. I can only fit 7 in my canner, but I still have 2 quarts of black beans that I need to process and some chicken. So I'll do 1 full load of the ground beef. So none of this is hot or even warm, really, because I cooked up this ground beef before I left to get the propane, but I did not heat up the broth, and the water in this canner is not heated up yet. So I'm going to start my burner now and let them all warm up together. I will continue the same process as I would any other time. Once this gets warm and the water in here starts to boil, I will put the top back on and let it vent for 10 minutes and then bring it up to pressure, 11 pounds for my elevation, and process it for the 90 minutes. So this ended up taking me 2 days to process all of this. I did get the black beans done, the first load of black beans done yesterday morning, and then I had to run an errand, and by the time I got this beef ready and I got the propane and all that other stuff, I couldn't actually process the beef at that time because we had to go to Hunter's football practice. So I ended up processing the first load of the ground beef yesterday late evening and into the night before I went to bed. So I finished processing the beef as well as the remaining black beans that I had. But then I decided to take the chicken that I was planning on canning and make that for dinner. So that's been in the crock pot all day. And I ended up making some pasta with the Italian pork sausage that I made last week. And with the leftover meat sauce that I had, I ended up canning that up. So I have 2 more of those instead. So it's not the chicken that I was planning on canning, but it is future meals that are ready to go. And I am using that chicken. I'm just using it for tonight's dinner instead. So I'm super excited that I got all of this done. It's okay to me that it took me 2 days to get all this processed because we live a real life and we have errands that we have to run and obligations that we have to fulfill. So sometimes it takes a little longer, and that's okay. I still got it done and everyone's happy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you got some inspiration, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for stopping by today and joining in on our journey here at Bare Bones Living. We'll catch you on the next one.